What is making you feel increasingly impoverished is not actually your meager income or your perceived lack of diligence. Instead, it is those seemingly harmless daily habits that secretly harbor negative elements in your life. We often look for a singular, catastrophic event to explain our financial struggles, but the truth is usually much quieter and far more repetitive. Hi and hello everyone. Welcome back to Improved Version, a channel dedicated to sharing profound knowledge on holistic personal development through the lens of the world's greatest books. It is a pleasure to have you with us today as we embark on a journey toward financial clarity and personal empowerment. Today, I would like to share a very simple yet incredibly useful book on financial management titled The Latte Factor, co-authored by David Bach and John David Mann. By identifying the negative factors that are creeping into your daily life, you will finally understand why you aren't as wealthy as you could be, why you find it so difficult to save money for your future, and most importantly, how to overcome the constant worry about spending and the paralyzing fear of scarcity. The author of this book, David Bach, is a household name in the United States. He has appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show and is recognized as one of the most influential financial experts of our time. Millions of people have reported that his straightforward advice has completely transformed their lives. What makes this book particularly engaging is that it is written in the form of a relatable story, rather than a dry textbook. It follows the life of a young professional woman in New York City named Zoe. Zoe earns a fairly high income of about $5,000 to $6,000 a month, yet she frequently feels short of cash and is burdened by growing credit card debt. The methods incorporated into her story provide the most authentic and relatable way for us to reflect on our own choices. Hopefully, this narrative can inspire you, because it is not just about managing numbers on a spreadsheet. It is about the values and habits that define your lifestyle. As the philosopher Aristotle once said, we are the result of what we do regularly. Therefore, excellence is not a singular action, but a habit. Developing the right financial habits is the key to unlocking the door to your own freedom. Zoe works as an associate editor at a major newspaper in the heart of New York City. She is the picture of a successful modern woman, yet her internal reality is far from stable. One morning, while waiting in line to buy her usual expensive latte, she found herself captivated by a painting displayed in the coffee shop window. It depicted a beautiful, serene island, a place she had always dreamed of visiting. She felt a deep, visceral urge to buy it, but when she heard the price tag of $1,200, four familiar words immediately popped into her head. I can't afford it. This phrase had become the soundtrack of her life. No money for travel. No money for extra classes to improve her skills. Not enough money for the things that truly brought her joy. She returned to her office in a gloomy mood, feeling the weight of the city and her debts pressing down on her. Her editor-in-chief noticed her distress and gave her an unusual piece of advice. Go talk to Henry, the elderly master barista who ran the coffee bar in their building. Zoe was confused. Why would she need to discuss her complex financial anxieties with a bartender? But this was the beginning of an encounter that would change her life forever. Unable to contain her curiosity, Zoe eventually sought out Henry. At that moment, she was at a crossroads. A friend had introduced her to a higher-paying job at a rival publication. While Zoe loved her current work, the salary simply wasn't cutting it. She wondered whether she should struggle along in her favorite job and find extra freelance work to ease the pressure, or decisively switch to the soul-crushing but higher-paying corporate role. This is a dilemma many young people face today, constantly questioning if they should follow their passion or follow the paycheck. Henry looked at Zoe and said, to stop worrying about money. The solution isn't necessarily to earn more of it, but to achieve financial freedom. He explained that if she followed 3 simple steps, she could reclaim her life. Zoe chuckled, thinking these steps were likely impossible fantasies like winning the lottery or receiving an inheritance from a long-lost relative. But Henry assured her that wealth is a matter of mathematics and habit, not luck. The first step to financial freedom, as Henry advised, is to learn to put yourself first. You must invest in yourself before you pay anyone else. Now, how do we usually understand investing in yourself? Most people think it means learning a new skill, enrolling in a study abroad program, or traveling to broaden their horizons. While those things are valuable, Henry meant something much more literal and foundational. He said that investing in yourself means being the first person to receive a portion of your income. Usually, we receive our paychecks and immediately give that money away to the government for taxes, the landlord for rent, the utility companies, and various businesses for our daily needs. By the time we are done paying everyone else, there's nothing left for us. Henry insisted that Zoe must set aside a fixed sum for herself regularly to harness the power of compound interest. Many people view compound interest as a far-fetched delusion, but it is actually a natural law of the universe. Think of a tiny seed. With patience and the right environment, it grows, adding a new layer of strength each season, eventually becoming a vast forest. The world's growth and evolution are built on this cumulative effect. Therefore, interest is not just a financial term. It is a secret of life itself. Henry performed a simple calculation for Zoe. He put $5 on the counter and said, if you save just $5 every day, the cost of this latte and a muffin, at a 10% annual interest rate in 40 years, you would have nearly $950,000. If you could find $10 a day, that amount would swell to nearly $2 million. Zoe was stunned. She argued, like many of us do, that she didn't have $5 or $10 to spare. She felt she was already living on the edge. But Henry told her, you're richer than you think, Zoe. If you can afford that cup of coffee every day, you can afford a house. What you lack is not money, but proper financial habits. He explained that the Latte Factor is not literally about coffee. It is a symbol for all the small, insignificant, non-essential expenses that we leak every day without thinking. It is the bubble tea, the snacks, the fast food deliveries, the cigarettes, and the monthly subscriptions for apps and streaming services we rarely use. It is the gym membership we pay for but never attend. It is the limited time offers on shopping apps that add up to hundreds of dollars a month. These expenses provide instant gratification, but they are silently draining our pockets and our futures. Henry's message was clear. Reflect on your life and see how these negative factors are creeping in. After identifying these leaks, the next step is to learn how to retain that money. Zoe's friend Jeffrey, a daring entrepreneur who loved taking risks, was skeptical. When Zoe told him about Henry's advice, Jeffrey laughed. You're too naive, Zoe. You can't maintain a 10% return forever. And what about inflation? The government will just eat your savings through rising costs. Besides, why are you listening to a guy who makes coffee? If he were so smart, he'd be a billionaire on Wall Street. Zoe began to doubt. Was saving money a foolish pursuit? Could savings really beat inflation? One day, while visiting Henry again, she met another man named Baron. Baron was a reformed big spender from Texas. He told Zoe that back home, they have a saying, Big hat, no cattle. It refers to people who appear powerful and wealthy on the outside, but have nothing of substance on the inside. Baron used to be that guy. He was always ostentatious, talking about big deals and expensive toys, but in reality, he was on the verge of bankruptcy. His lifestyle was killing him. He smoked, drank, stayed up late, and his health was in shambles. Luckily, he had met Henry years ago. Henry advised Baron to eliminate the latte factors in his life, starting with cigarettes and alcohol. By saving that money and avoiding the credit card minimum payment trap, Baron turned his life around. He explained to Zoe that when you only pay the minimum on a credit card, you're entering a cycle of negative compound interest. If you borrow $20,000 and only pay the minimum, it could take you 18 years to pay it off, and you would end up paying more in interest than the original loan was worth. Baron and his wife decided to change their habits. They bought second-hand items, paid in cash, and quit their expensive vices. Gradually, they built their own positive compound interest, overcame their financial crisis, and regained their health. From Baron's story, Zoe learned that many things in life have the nature of compound interest. Debt is interest compounding against you, while saving is interest compounding for you. While inflation does erode the value of money, long-term investments in diversified funds, stocks, and assets like gold help your wealth grow faster than the cost of living. Furthermore, Zoe realized that saving and investing had a parallel benefit. It forced her to be healthier. She started bringing her own lunch to work, which meant she was eating more nutritious, home-cooked meals instead of greasy takeout. She invested in a high-quality coffee maker for her home, saving her hundreds of dollars a month and providing a clearer mind. She canceled unused subscriptions and started reading books and learning new hobbies instead. Her body became healthier, her mind clearer, and her productivity soared. This was the amazing compound interest of taking care of her well-being. So we asked Henry about the interest rates again. My friends say 10% is impossible now. Henry smiled and said, then calculate it at 5%. The 10% figure is historically grounded in the average annual return of the S&P 500 over several decades. But even at 4 or 5%, the miracle of time and consistency will still make you a millionaire. Most people see stocks as gambling or speculation. They sell when they make a quick 20% profit. They don't recognize the true value of being an owner. To buy a stock is to become a part of a company, to grow with it over the long haul. Henry shared his own story. His family had been extremely poor. His grandmother, however, established the tradition of saving just $1 a week. Instead of buying Henry a hamburger or a toy, she bought him shares in a solid company. Over many years, those shares grew and became the asset that saved his family from poverty. Henry was now over 70 years old and had achieved financial freedom decades ago. He had owned his coffee shop for 36 years. Even when giants like Starbucks moved into the neighborhood and forced other small cafes to close, Henry survived. He had bought the building his cafe was in, and he even owned shares in Starbucks. He used balanced leverage, keeping one side of his life safe while investing in the growth of the other. He didn't have to work as a barista. He did it because he loved the craft and the people. This led to step number 3. From now on, live like a rich person. Zoe was taken aback. But I'm not rich. How can I live like a wealthy person? Henry explained that being rich is first and foremost a mental state. You must live with the demeanor of someone who is calm and confident. When you know your money is growing every day through automation, you can spend what is left with total peace of mind. He pointed her to the work of Nobel Prize-winning economists who studied the nature of poverty. They found that the core reason the poor stay poor is often how they deal with pressure. People under intense financial stress often spend their limited money on small, temporary reliefs like cable TV, cheap snacks, or unnecessary trinkets. These things provide a momentary escape from a difficult reality, but they don't broaden horizons or accumulate long-term value. Truly wealthy people, however, don't just avoid pressure, they transform it. They temper their desire for short-term pleasure and prioritize investing in knowledge, experience, health, and income-generating assets. When you begin to live with a mindset of abundance, knowing you have set aside for your future, you stop being a slave to your paycheck. Zoe took this to heart. She chose to stay in the job she loved because she realized she didn't need a massive salary hike. She just needed better habits. She set up automatic transfers, 6% to a retirement account, 2% to help her parents, 4% for learning and books, and 4% for her dream fund for travel. She managed her credit cards with discipline, avoiding the installment traps. Within just 3 years, Zoe had funded 3 international trips using her dream fund. By the time she turned 30, she felt like the richest person in the world. She wasn't yet a millionaire in terms of her bank balance, but she was a millionaire in spirit. She was in total control of her life. Her retirement account was growing steadily, and she was free from the crushing anxiety that had once defined her mornings. The message of this book is deceptively simple, but its impact is profound. Learn to delay immediate gratification. Learn to select what truly matters to you. And most importantly, start living as a free person today. Wealth is not just a high number in an account. It is the freedom to choose your own path and live a life free from the suffocating pressure of debt and scarcity. When you let go of petty gratifications and embrace long-term growth, you become truly rich. I hope that by reflecting on Zoe's journey, you can see the latte factors in your own life. Start with the simplest habit. Reduce the distracting, negative expenses that are draining your potential. By doing so, you will find yourself becoming more prosperous, more carefree, and more at ease with every passing day. Thank you so much for listening to today's discussion. We truly believe that financial freedom is a cornerstone of holistic personal development, as it provides the stability you need to grow in all other areas of your life. If you found this video helpful and want to support our mission of spreading wisdom through books, please take a moment to give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. Also, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking the bell icon. We post new, in-depth summaries and life-changing insights every week, and we want you to be a part of our community. Share this video with a friend or family member who might be struggling with their finances. Sometimes a single story is all it takes to spark a revolution in someone's life. Thank you again for your time and your support. Keep investing in yourself. Keep building those healthy habits, and we will see you in the next video. Until then, stay wise and stay free. Goodbye.